Mom, I was as surprised as everyone else.
Marie Elizabeth.
Mom, I had absolutely no...
Okay, we did it, but I wouldn't exactly call it prostitution.
From a child actor who became a Marvel director to the network exec who hated the hit show, and three sisters who all battled Freddy Krueger, Just the 10 of Us holds secrets that are stranger than fiction. Did you know the show was canceled despite winning its time slot, or that music licensing has kept it off DVD for decades? Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about Just the 10 of Us. Fact 1. 3 nightmare sisters battled Freddy.
Mom, what are you doing?
Thinking.
Where are you going?
I'm going to pray.
If you think it's strange that one actress from a wholesome family sitcom also fought Freddy Krueger in a horror film, try wrapping your head around this. 3 different actresses who played sisters on Just the 10 of Us all appeared in separate A Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Heather Langenkamp, who played the oldest daughter Marie Lubbock, was already a horror icon before joining the sitcom, having starred as Nancy Thompson in the original 1984 A Nightmare on Elm Street and its 1987 sequel, Dream Warriors. But she wasn't the only Lubbock sister with connections to Elm Street. Brooke Theiss, who played Wendy, appeared in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, in 1988, right in the middle of filming the sitcom's first season. She played Debbie Stevens, a character who meets a particularly gruesome end involving a cockroach transformation. Then there's Joanne Willette, who played the youngest sister Connie, and she appeared in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, back in 1985, 3 years before the sitcom premiered. The overlap is so unusual that it raises the question of whether horror film experience was somehow listed as a qualification in the casting notices. While it's purely coincidental that 3 actresses from the same fictional family all tangled with the same horror franchise villain, it remains one of the strangest casting connections in television history. The fact that audiences could watch these actresses portray innocent Catholic schoolgirls one night and then see them fighting for their lives against a supernatural killer speaks to their range as performers. But it also creates an oddly unsettling viewing experience when you're aware of both roles. Fact 2. The child star became Marvel's director.
Graham Lubbock, that is just about the most wonderful thing I've ever heard.
How long have you been here?
About 5 rosaries.
When young Matt Shackman played 10-year-old J.R. Lubbock on Just the 10 of Us, nobody could have predicted that the freckle-faced kid would eventually become one of Hollywood's most successful directors, helming major Marvel projects and earning critical acclaim across multiple mediums. Shackman appeared in all 47 episodes of the series from 1988 to 1990, playing the middle child and only son of the Lubbock family. After his childhood acting career, which also included a recurring role on 30-something, Shackman made the rare transition from child actor to serious director. He studied theater at Yale and the American Repertory Theater before building an impressive resume, directing episodes of prestige television shows including The Good Wife, Fargo, Game of Thrones, and Succession. But his career reached new heights when he directed all 9 episodes of Disney Plus's WandaVision in 2021, earning multiple Emmy nominations and widespread critical praise for his innovative approach to the Marvel Cinematic Universe series. The success of WandaVision made Shackman one of the most sought-after directors in Hollywood, leading Marvel Studios to hire him to direct The Fantastic Four: First Steps, scheduled for release in 2025. He's also served as the artistic director of the Geffen Playhouse in Los Angeles since 2022, where he's directed numerous theatrical productions. From playing a kid who couldn't get a word in edgewise among his 7 siblings to directing some of the biggest projects in entertainment, Shackman's journey represents one of the most successful transitions from child actor to A-list director in Hollywood history. Fact 3. Bob Iger personally hated the show.
Hey, wait! Then I would need a
a job, would I? No, that's probably the wrong attitude, but thank you.
Television executives cancel shows for many reasons, including low ratings, high production costs, or creative differences. But Just the 10 of Us was canceled for a much more unusual reason. The man in charge simply didn't like it. Bob Iger, who served as president of ABC Entertainment from 1989 to 1994 before eventually becoming CEO of the Walt Disney Company, made no secret of his personal distaste for the family sitcom. Despite the fact that the show was consistently winning its Friday night time slot and pulling in respectable ratings that many networks would envy today, Iger pushed for its cancellation at the end of the third season in 1990. According to multiple reports from industry insiders at the time, Iger felt the show was too old-fashioned and didn't fit with his vision for ABC's future programming direction. He wanted the network to appeal to younger, hipper audiences and believed that wholesome family comedies about Catholic families with 8 children represented programming from a bygone era. The decision wasn't based on financial performance or viewer numbers, but rather on Iger's personal taste and his desire to rebrand the network. Within a year of the cancellation, ABC publicly acknowledged that removing Just the 10 of Us from the schedule had been a mistake, particularly after its replacement series failed spectacularly, and the show found tremendous success in syndication. Iger would later become one of the most successful media executives in history, transforming Disney into an entertainment powerhouse. But his decision to cancel this particular show remains one of the most puzzling and personal programming choices in network television history, proving that even future industry titans can make questionable calls based on subjective preferences rather than objective performance metrics. Fact 4. Replaced by a flop. Admitted as error.
I didn't want to scar them emotionally any more than they already are. Everyone was moved, even Wendy.
Bummer.
When ABC canceled Just the 10 of Us after 3 seasons in 1990, network executives had a specific replacement in mind that they believed would perform better in the same time slot. That replacement was Going Places, a comedy about a group of young writers working for a talk show starring Heather Locklear, Holland Taylor, and Alan Ruck. The network had high hopes for the series, believing it would appeal to younger viewers and fit better with their evolving programming strategy. However, Going Places turned out to be one of the network's most embarrassing failures of the 1991 season, struggling in the ratings from its premiere and never finding an audience despite its talented cast and prime scheduling. The show was canceled after just 1 season and 22 episodes, leaving ABC with a gaping hole in their Friday night lineup and a lot of explaining to do. In a highly unusual move, ABC publicly admitted in the spring of 1991 that canceling Just the 10 of Us had been a mistake. Network executives acknowledged that they had underestimated the show's appeal and misjudged what viewers wanted to see in that time slot. The admission was particularly striking because networks rarely acknowledge their programming errors so openly and directly. By the time ABC made this public statement, Just the 10 of Us was already earning strong ratings in syndication on USA Network, making the network's decision look even worse in hindsight. The entire situation serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of canceling a successful show based on assumptions about audience preferences rather than actual performance. And it remains one of the few times a major network has so publicly admitted to making a significant scheduling mistake. Fact 5. USA Network syndication success proved them wrong.
Father Hargis has been on me to clean up my language around the kids. So I've been finding myself a dollar bill every time I slip. You'd be surprised how fast that adds up.
Sometimes a show's true value only becomes apparent after it leaves the network that canceled it. And Just the 10 of Us proved this principle in spectacular fashion when it moved to syndication on USA Network. After ABC pulled the plug in 1990, USA Network picked up the rerun rights and began airing episodes that same year, giving the show a second life that would ultimately vindicate everyone who believed in its potential. The syndication run, which lasted from 1990 to 1996, became one of USA Network's most successful programming acquisitions of that era, consistently drawing strong ratings that far exceeded what Going Places, the show that replaced it on ABC, ever managed to achieve. The USA Network reruns attracted both viewers who had watched the original ABC run and wanted to revisit favorite episodes, as well as entirely new audiences who discovered the show for the first time in syndication. The success was so pronounced that it became a talking point in the television industry, with trade publications regularly citing Just the 10 of Us as an example of how syndication could rescue shows that networks had undervalued. For the show's producers and cast members, the syndication success felt like validation after the disappointment of cancellation, proving that their instincts about the show's appeal had been correct all along. The USA Network run also generated significant residual income for the cast and crew, softening the financial blow of the premature cancellation. The entire episode demonstrates how network decisions don't always reflect a show's true popularity or long-term viability, and how syndication can sometimes be more lucrative and sustainable than the original broadcast run, especially when a network makes a hasty decision based on factors other than actual viewer interest and performance. Fact 6. Music rights trapped it in limbo.
I don't remember.
What?
They said you were a bald-headed guy.
Well, I am a bald-headed guy.
In the age of streaming services where nearly every classic sitcom from the 1980s and 90s has found a new home, Just the 10 of Us remains conspicuously absent from all major platforms, and the reason has nothing to do with its popularity or content. The show is trapped in a frustrating legal and financial limbo caused by music licensing issues that would be prohibitively expensive to resolve. Throughout the series, the four Lubbock sisters performed as a singing group called the Lubbock Babes, harmonizing on popular songs in various episodes as a recurring plot element. The problem is that when the show was produced, the producers only secured the music rights for the original broadcast, not anticipating the future need for home video or streaming distribution. Now, decades later, releasing the show on DVD or streaming platforms would require negotiating new licensing agreements for every copyrighted song performed in the series, a process that would involve tracking down rights holders, negotiating fees for each song, and potentially dealing with multiple music publishers and recording labels. The cost of clearing all these songs could easily exceed any potential revenue from DVD sales or streaming deals, making it financially unviable for any distribution company to take on the project. This situation is particularly frustrating for fans of the show who have no legal way to watch it beyond hunting down old VHS recordings or hoping for occasional television marathons on obscure cable channels. The Lubbock Babes singing group, which seemed like a charming and entertaining element when the show was being produced, has ironically become the main obstacle preventing new generations from discovering the series, illustrating how entertainment industry contracts written in the pre-streaming era can create unexpected barriers to content preservation and accessibility. Fact 7. 2 future friends, stars, guest starred.
He even brought a couple of little friends home.
Oh, good. See, I told you you'd make quite an impression if you just let them meet the real you.
Oh, I think I made an impression on him, all right.
Before they became 2/3 of the iconic Friends male trio, both Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc made early career appearances on Just the 10 of Us, though they never shared the screen together. Perry guest starred in an episode during the show's run, playing a character who interacted with the Lubbock family in a storyline that has since become a curiosity for Friends fans rewatching his early work. At the time, Perry was still several years away from landing the role of Chandler Bing that would make him a household name, and he was working steadily but not yet starring in hit shows. LeBlanc, who would later become famous as Joey Tribbiani, also appeared in a different episode, showcasing the early comedic timing that would eventually make him one of television's most beloved characters. Neither actor was particularly well known when they appeared on Just the 10 of Us, making these guest spots typical examples of young performers building their resumes with appearances on established sitcoms. What makes this trivia particularly interesting is that Friends premiered in 1994, just a few years after Just the 10 of Us ended its run, meaning these two actors went from guest starring on a canceled family sitcom to anchoring one of the most successful comedies in television history within a relatively short span of time. For fans who enjoy tracking the early appearances of famous actors before they achieved stardom, these episodes represent valuable artifacts from Perry and LeBlanc's pre-Friends years, showing them as young performers still finding their footing in Hollywood and working their way up through the traditional system of guest appearances and small roles before finally landing their career-defining parts. Fact 8. Extreme Dawson casting for youngest teen.
What do you need to see a counselor for anyway? Schools like to find out who you are before they destroy you emotionally.
Hollywood has a long tradition of casting actors who are older than the characters they portray, particularly when it comes to teenage roles. But Just the 10 of Us took this practice to an extreme that's remarkable even by industry standards. Joanne Willette was 25 years old when she was cast as 15-year-old Connie Lubbock, the youngest of the 4 teenage daughters in the family, creating a 10-year gap between actress and character that made her older than some of the actors playing her parents might have been when their characters supposedly had children. By the time the series ended in 1990, Willette was 27, playing a character who was supposed to be around 17 or 18, an age difference so pronounced that it ranks among the most glaring examples of what's commonly known as Dawson casting in television history. The term comes from Dawson's Creek, where actors in their 20s regularly played high school students, but Willette's situation was even more extreme. Despite the significant age gap, Willette convincingly portrayed the youngest sister's naive innocence and youthful energy, demonstrating considerable acting skill in making viewers believe she was a decade younger than her actual age. The casting choice was likely made because Willette had the right look and personality for the character, and because producers generally prefer working with adult actors who don't require the special accommodations and restrictions that come with hiring actual teenage performers. However, it does create an unusual viewing experience when you know that the actress playing the baby of the family was actually old enough to have teenage children of her own, highlighting how Hollywood's approach to age-appropriate casting often prioritizes performance and convenience over literal accuracy. Fact 9. The Creel triplets almost played twins.
Just walk up to those new boys and say, "Hello, I'm J.R. Lubbock, and I want to be your friend."
During the development phase of Just the 10 of Us, ABC executives seriously considered a casting choice that would have brought real-life celebrity siblings into the fictional Lubbock family. The Creel triplets, Leanna, Monica, and Joy, were famous child actors who had appeared together in commercials, television shows, and films throughout the 1980s, and the network floated the idea of casting 2 of them as the twin sisters Wendy and Cindy Lubbock. Having actual siblings play fictional twins would have been a natural fit, and using 2/3 of a famous triplet act would have brought built-in publicity and name recognition to the new series. The Creel sisters were well known enough that their involvement might have helped attract viewers during the crucial early episodes when shows are trying to build an audience. However, the idea was ultimately abandoned in favor of casting Jamie Luner and Brooke Thies as the twins, both of whom were relative unknowns at the time. The decision to go with Luner and Thies instead of the Creel triplets likely came down to several factors, including the producer's assessment of which actresses best fit their vision for the characters, potential scheduling conflicts, or simply the chemistry between different combinations of actors during auditions. While we'll never know exactly how the show might have been different with 2 of the Creel triplets in the cast, the choice to cast lesser-known actresses allowed Luner and Thies to define the roles on their own terms without the baggage of being already famous performers, and both went on to have successful careers in television, with Luner eventually landing a regular role on Melrose Place, proving that the casting director's instincts were sound even if they passed on the novelty of actual celebrity siblings. Fact 10. Dennis Haysbert's pre-24 role.
Yeah, well, you should have told me it was you working here. I almost turned this job down to take one of the many other offers I had.
Long before Dennis Haysbert became famous as senator and later president, David Palmer on the groundbreaking series 24. And decades before his distinctive voice became synonymous with Allstate Insurance commercials asking, "Are you in good hands?" He was playing a much humbler role on Just the 10 of Us as Coach Dwayne Johnson. Haysbert appeared in the second and third seasons of the show, playing a colleague of Graham Lubbock at St. Augustine's Academy, who provided advice, friendship, and occasional comic relief across multiple episodes. At the time, Haysbert was a working actor building his career through steady television guest appearances and supporting roles in films, not yet the commanding presence who would later portray one of television's most memorable presidents. His role on Just the 10 of Us was relatively small but recurring, giving him valuable experience in the rhythm of sitcom acting and helping him develop the naturalistic performance style that would later make him so effective in dramatic roles. When 24 premiered in 2001, more than a decade after Just the 10 of Us ended, Haysbert's portrayal of David Palmer broke new ground as the first African-American president depicted on American television, a role that some political commentators suggested helped pave the way for Barack Obama's real-life presidency in 2008. The contrast between Coach Johnson on a lightweight family sitcom and President Palmer on an intense political thriller demonstrates Haysbert's remarkable range as an actor and his journey from supporting player on a canceled ABC sitcom to leading man on one of Fox's most critically acclaimed dramas represents the kind of slow-build career success that's increasingly rare in modern Hollywood. Fact 11. On-set name slip caught on camera.
Well, meet your new boss. I know how nervous you get, and the girls now have this place spick and span.
Oh, except Cindy. She's out trolling.
Trolling? She doesn't know anything about fishing.
No, but she knows what she likes.
Even experienced actors occasionally break character by using real names instead of character names during filming. And while most of these mistakes are caught and corrected with additional takes, sometimes they slip through the editing process and end up in the final broadcast. This happened on Just the 10 of Us in a kitchen scene where JR, played by Matt Shackman, accidentally called his sister Sherry by the actress's real name, Heidi, instead of her character name. The blooper occurred naturally during what was presumably intended to be a usable take, and for whatever reason, whether due to time constraints, budget limitations, or simply because nobody noticed during the editing process, the mistake made it all the way to air when the episode broadcast. Heidi Ziegler played Sherry Lubbock, one of the younger children in the family, and apparently Shackman had gotten so used to calling her by her real name between takes that it accidentally came out during filming. What makes this particularly interesting is that such mistakes are usually caught during the multiple layers of review that television episodes go through before airing, including director approval, producer notes, and network standards reviews. The fact that this particular name slip survived all those checkpoints and made it into viewers' homes suggests it either happened in a moment where the name wasn't clearly enunciated, or that the scene was otherwise so good that producers decided the minor error wasn't worth the expense of reshooting. For eagle-eared viewers who caught the mistake during the original broadcast, it likely prompted a moment of confusion or amusement. And for fans who have since discovered it, the blooper serves as a reminder that even professionally produced television shows are made by real people who occasionally make very human mistakes. Fact 12. The pilot aired on another show.
3 bedrooms.
Oh, Mom and Dad are just gonna have to sleep in the car.
Yeah. You tell them.
Rather than launching Just the 10 of Us with a traditional standalone pilot episode, ABC took an unusual approach by introducing the new series through a backdoor pilot that aired as a special episode of their established hit comedy Growing Pains in the spring of 1988. The crossover episode featured the Seaver family from Growing Pains interacting with Graham Lubbock and his large Catholic family, setting up the premise that would carry over into the spin-off series. In the episode, Mike Seaver, played by Kirk Cameron, gets involved in organizing a student protest to save Coach Lubbock's job after he's fired from his position, giving viewers a chance to meet the Lubbock family and understand the basic setup of the new show before it officially premiered. This backdoor pilot approach was a strategic move by ABC to leverage the popularity of Growing Pains, which was one of their most watched shows at the time, to help launch the new series with an audience that was already invested in at least one of the characters. By having Mike Seaver serve as the audience's entry point into the Lubbock family's world, ABC hoped viewers would be more likely to tune in when Just the 10 of Us premiered as its own series later that year. The approach was relatively common in television during the 1980s and 90s, as networks used successful shows to incubate spin-offs and new series, though it's less common in the modern era of television, where shows typically stand on their own from the first episode. For viewers who watched both shows, the Growing Pains backdoor pilot remains a curious artifact connecting two different family sitcoms from the same era and network. Fact 13. Jamie Luner's first ever acting role.
After all those years in an apartment.
There's our very own load-bearing walls.
Breaking into Hollywood as an actor typically requires years of small roles, auditions, classes, and gradual career building. But Jamie Luner's entry into the entertainment industry was remarkably different because her role as Cindy Lubbock on Just the 10 of Us was literally her first professional acting job ever. Luner had no prior experience in commercials, student films, theater productions, or any of the other typical resume builders that aspiring actors accumulate before landing a regular role on a network television series. She auditioned for the part despite having no professional credits to her name and somehow impressed the casting directors and producers enough that they took a chance on a complete newcomer for a significant role in their new show. The decision to cast someone with zero experience in one of the main roles was risky, as television production moves quickly and requires actors to learn their lines, hit their marks, and deliver consistent performances under tight schedules. All skills that usually require some level of prior professional experience to execute reliably. However, Luner proved to be a natural talent who quickly adapted to the demands of series television, holding her own alongside more experienced cast members throughout the show's 3-season run. Her success on Just the 10 of Us launched a career that would eventually lead to more prominent roles, including a regular part on the primetime soap opera Melrose Place in the mid-1990s and the lead role in the series Savannah. The fact that she went from never having acted professionally to becoming a series regular on a network sitcom demonstrates both her natural talent and the show's willingness to take chances on unknown performers, a practice that was perhaps more common in the late 1980s than it would be today, when competition for roles is even more intense. Fact 14. Personalities switched between seasons.
Oh, here.
Oh, good. What is this, honey?
Oh, I can't remember. But they say you can make sausage out of it.
Television characters typically maintain consistent personality traits throughout a series unless there's a specific story reason for a change, which is why what happened to the Lubbock twins Wendy and Cindy between seasons 1 and 2 of Just the 10 of Us remains so bizarre and unexplained. In the first season, Cindy was portrayed as the more intelligent and scheming of the two sisters, while Wendy was depicted as somewhat ditzy and less academically inclined. However, when the second season premiered, viewers noticed that the twins' personalities had mysteriously switched, with no acknowledgement from the show or explanation in any episode's dialogue. Suddenly, Cindy had become the airheaded, ditzy sister, while Wendy was now the schemer who came up with plans and manipulated situations to the twins' advantage. The switch was so complete and thorough that it seemed like the writers had simply swapped all of Cindy's character traits with Wendy's over the hiatus between seasons, as if someone had confused the two characters in the writer's room, and nobody bothered to correct it before scripts went into production. Because the twins were played by different actresses, Jamie Luner as Cindy and Brooke Thies as Wendy, it wasn't a case of confusing the actors, but rather a genuine reversal of established characterization. No behind-the-scenes explanation has ever been publicly offered for why this change was made, leaving fans to speculate whether it was an intentional creative decision that the producers simply chose not to address within the show's narrative, or whether it was an accidental result of confusion during the development of second-season scripts. Either way, the personality switch remains one of the strangest and most poorly explained character developments in sitcom history, made even more puzzling by the fact that the show never called attention to it or attempted to justify it within the story. Fact 15. Frank Bonner directed his own absence.
Honey, your dad was just trying to be funny. He didn't really mean it. No more than Johnny Carson means all those jokes about his ex-wives. Tell him.
Frank Bonner, who played Father Hargis on Just the 10 of Us, had already established himself as a director as well as an actor, having directed numerous episodes of WKRP in Cincinnati, where he also played sales manager Herb Tarlick, and he brought those directing skills to the Lubbock family's adventures. During the second and third seasons of Just the 10 of Us, Bonner stepped behind the camera to direct several episodes, adding his perspective as both a cast member and a filmmaker to help shape the show's comedic timing and visual style. However, anyone watching the episodes he directed might have noticed something unusual. Father Hargis was either completely absent from those episodes or appeared only briefly in minimal scenes that could have been filmed in a single quick session. This follows a long-standing tradition in television production where actors who direct episodes of their own shows typically reduce or eliminate their on-screen presence in the episodes they're helming. The practice exists for practical reasons, as directing requires being behind the camera and monitoring performances, blocking, and technical elements, making it extremely difficult to also deliver a full performance in front of the camera. By limiting his own character's involvement in episodes he directed, Bonner could focus his energy and attention on shaping the performances of the other cast members and working with the crew to execute the episode's creative vision. This same practice has been employed by countless actor-directors throughout television history, from Ron Howard on Happy Days to various cast members on more recent shows, and it represents a recognition that splitting attention between acting and directing simultaneously often results in neither task being performed as well as it could be if handled separately.